Yes, people, Russ from the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. No Premier League football until April 2nd now. Anyway, I did my ratings at lunchtime. If you want to go and have if you ever want a depressed look at West Ham, go and have a look at that. But it's news at 10. We bring to you some stories which we didn't have time to bring to throughout the day. There's loads of stuff. There's even more stories we could talk about. We could talk about Lucas Paqueta storming off the tunnel and being dragged back up by the coach. We could talk about Scarmacker, sat there on the floor in his kit ready to play. But we haven't had time to talk about it. And time to talk about Michael Carrick talking about West Ham, in terms of being flattered by the West Ham links. Will still doing well at Rems, and loads to talk about. But I thought we would pick three stories. The first one is about what could be if we go down. Obviously, we're not 1 point, but we're one place above the relegation zone on goal difference. Obviously, we don't play at the weekend. Some teams play twice in the Premier League before we play in the Premier League again. But apart from, I think Leeds is the only team not to play out of that bottom 7. And if results don't go our way, which, to be fair, they've been a cruel mistress to us this season, we'd be second from bottom, 1 point above Leeds, 3 points behind Bournemouth, Leicester, 4 points behind Southampton, Everton, 5 points behind Forest, and 6 points behind Wolves. I think Palace is about 6 points as well. That's if all those sides win their respective games and stuff. Worst case scenario. Obviously, best case scenario, we'd probably stay the way we are, but we know that's probably not going to happen. Now, obviously, relegation does bring a lot of issues with wages and players leaving and things like that. But West Ham shareholders may be forced to consider positions this year. Relegation to the Championship would force them to reconsider their positions at the club. That's according to an article in The Athletic. Daniel Kudrinski has the option to buy the shares held by David Sullivan and the family of the late David Gold at a set price. However, this could be put in jeopardy. Obviously, we're currently 16th. And West Ham's most recent set of accounts showed a pre-tax profit of 12.5 million to underline the successful season we had in terms of Europe, particularly. But one would assume with relegation would come a huge loss in the following tax year. The article says that Daniel Kudzinski has the option to buy the shares, but relegation would force all shareholders to reconsider their positions. Obviously, relegation is never helpful for any Premier League side, but it seems it would hit West Ham the worst way this season. Board reshuffles, shareholder exits aren't what you want when the club are trying to go through a crisis, and it's further scenario from stability. It's the furthest away possible from having a stable base. The profit, the 12.3 million pound pre-tax profit we made last would go to waste, as would the talented squad we've assembled on paper. Very talented. The likes of, Rice would be up for grabs in the summer anyway, but Lucas Paqueta would be, Bowen, Scarmacker, all up for grabs if we suffered the grim drop to the Championship. So, and it was we weren't, to be fair, in all honesty, with all this investment at the beginning of the summer, it was a very unlikely prospect of us of being in this relegation issue. But it is what it is. That the league table does not lie. It's one that's become a reality, particularly as the weeks have gone past in the Premier League. So things, obviously, things have to change. Obviously, if nothing can change until April, that's when we can go back in the Premier League. But a decent showing on Thursday, qualification to the quarterfinals, obviously does bring in more money. By all accounts, I think people have a bit sort of think it's a foregone conclusion with the Larnaca game. Obviously returning from the away leg 2-0 up. I think they're predicting about 36,000 people attending on Thursday. So maybe people are just and not it's not the attraction. I think when they get to the quarterfinals and the semi-finals potentially, then obviously that would be full houses. But in a similar way to some of the Europa Conference League games, it's that's a similar sort of vibe. So yeah. But interesting to see that the article comes out from the Athletic as well, saying that positions would need to be reconsidered. One person who is not going to be reconsidering his position, apparently, is Arthur Masuaku. He's set to remain at Besiktas on the account of his improved form since returning from injury. It had been thought at one time that he'd blown his chances of staying at Besiktas after his loan spell, particularly when he got injured. But reports now claim the Turkish club want him to remain under the terms of the current deal agreed with the Hammers. Previously, they were going to trying to send him back early to us, but that has not changed. That has now changed, rather. According to Turkish outlet Fanatik, the two clubs are currently locked in negotiations, and in the event of Arthur playing 25 league games, for which he's currently playing he's played 23 league games at the moment, a 2.5 million euro, about 2.2 million quid, purchase order will be activated. He was allowed to leave the Irons on a season-long loan last summer with an obligation to make the deal permanently should he make that 25 league appearance level. As I said, poor form, injuries at the Hammers saw him move on, and I mean, there were fears of him coming back, wasn't there? But then, I remember a time where, and I said it before, when in the first stint of Moyes' second stint here, I think so, Arthur Masuaku was key at that left wing back position. So much so, I remember when he was on international duty at the the Democratic Republic of Congo, and he came back early through injury. We were really worried. We were worried about him, and that's the thing. Actually, thinking about yesterday now, even more so. Yesterday, real opportunity, as you said. If we won those games, I know now it's if buts and maybes, but if we'd won, we've gone to 14th. We know we weren't going to be playing in the Premier League until the April 2nd. And the players that have gone on international duty, what happens if 3 or 4 of them come back with season-ending injuries? It can easily happen. It's West Ham. Then we are in even worse position than we would be before they all left, because we'd have probably had the extra game week. Everyone for that extra game week. Yes, we've got the game in hand, but that's against Man City away, which is no points basically, and it just defies logic. Defies logic to me. Anyway, since latest reports from Fanatic claims that after a goal and 3 assists for Arthur since his return from injury, it's now convinced the Turkish Giants to make his move permanently. So Arthur's not going to be there next year for sure. And lastly, maybe one who could be here, maybe West Ham apparently sent scouts to watch Lil Wonderkid Carlos Belba in recent months, with the club likely to demand around 30 million. So it goes against what we're saying about we get relegated, we've lost this money. But if we stay up, and that's according to several sources, reports claim that the league side want a similar fee to the one they received for Amadou Onana from Everton last summer. Apparently, we are amongst about 20 sides after him: Arsenal, Liverpool, Newcastle, AC Milan, Juventus, Nice, Monaco, Leicester, Liverpool, Man United, Newcastle, Leicester, and West Ham have all sent scouts to watch him in recent months with a view to making a potential offer. I mean, he's 19 years old. He's burst into the French football scene this season, become one of the most sought after talents in European football. He only actually came through to Lille in January last year, joining from Brassiers de Cameroon Academy. However, he made like an instant impact. He's a Cameroonian Wonderkid. He's gone on to make 14 club and league appearances this season, and now looks already set to move on to a European side. Outside of France, maybe not. Obviously, it's early days, but all signs are pointing to a very, very top career in the game. And as I said, £30 million has been mooted for his signature, which could, in the grand scheme of things, further down the line, with hindsight a great thing, be an absolute steal for a player who could be a generational star. In the same way we spoke about when we were originally linked with Julio Alves, how he's, Man City are now going to hopefully sign him. Well, not hopefully, but they want hopefully sign him to a longer deal contract because of the impact he's made with City so far. And Carlos could be the next one. Could be the next one off the production line, maybe. And that's it, my friends. Thanks very much for joining us. Keep the faith. Chin up. In it. Chin up. We're all West Ham. We're all part of the same family. And we've got AAK Larnaca on Thursday to look forward to, and we'll bring all the stuff, all the previews, all the reviews of that as well. And then we've got a whole 2 weeks of West Ham not ruining your weekends. So and then tentatively looking at all the international results and seeing any of our players who've played and seeing if they've been subbed. Hopefully they haven't been subbed because they were injured in it. Take care, stay safe, stay humble, keep the faith, my friends. Come on, you Irons. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Sweet dreams.